Ministry of Transport and Aviation, Sierra Leone Airport Authority have transferred the operations and management of the new Freetown International Airport to Summa Limited. So this morning, to discuss on the transfer of personal operations and management of the airports, we have been joined by the interim chairman of the transition committee set up by President Baio to facilitate the transition process of the new Freetown International Airport to Summa Limited. Dr. Tiffa Baio is also the Director General of Sierra Leone Civil Aviation. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to the program. I hope I got the surname right.
Yeah, I'm
okay. Thank you. Okay. Being the chair of the interim transition committee, give us an understanding of the current state of affairs of the airport and the agreements between the Sierra Leone International Airport Limited and also the Summa Group Limited.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to appraise listeners also that the government of Sierra Leone signed a bill operates transfer agreement with the Summa Group of companies sometimes back in 2021. Which actually saw the turning of the soil at the Freetown International Airport. And part of that agreement calls that when construction phase reaches 75%, the Summa Group of Companies, Sierra Leone Limited, will take over the operations of the Freetown International Airport. So that benchmark was reached by Summa last year in October 2022. So by contract, the states will have handed over the operations of the Freetown International Airport to them. However, because of one or two other issues that needs to be addressed before that could have been done, the ministry has to delay that process until early this, and the president was able to commission the transition team, so that charged with that responsibility to ensure that they manage all those critical issues that has to be resolved, so that we have a smooth operations at the airport to avoid any disruption to the industry, and at the same time create any upheavals that may come from the transfer of operations. But what I want to also make clear at this juncture is that the Sierra Leone Airport Authority used to perform primarily two key functions. A common analogy I would give is like SLBC. They do television and radio. So if the state decides to privatize the radio component, they will still live with the radio component of it. So that's what happened with the Sierra Leone Airport Authority. They perform airport operations and that of the air navigation service provisions. So what the government did with the Summa agreement is to take the airport operations component and give it to Summa Construction Company as per the Summa concession BOT agreement they have with the states. So, which means that airport authorities still continue to exist, but albeit as an air navigation service provider. So, as per the agreement and the transfer protocol, Summa Group of Companies is to take over approximately around 450 staffs, nearly close to that, from the airport authority. These staffs belongs to the operational components of the airport authority, so all of them are going. The only ones that are staying with the airport authority will be those that are directly related to the air navigation service functions. So basically that's the situation. Okay. And on the 20th, we are able to do that transfer of operations. January 20th, from last week Friday. The minister was there, and even the Minister of Foreign Affairs was there, because you know Summa is an international company. So the Minister
one thing I want to have clear is we're still using the old terminal building yes, that is existing, yeah, and Summa are operating there presently. Yes. Okay. This transfer of operations to Summa Group. You work in this industry, yeah. You are head of the Civil Aviation Authority. What should the public expect? What operationally will they be doing? Is it just what we are used to traveling at the Lungi International Airport, or things will be different?
Definitely. things will be different because in the first place, the government of Sierra Leone did not only sign the BOT agreement because they want the infrastructure to be built. There is a service level agreement also between Summa and that of the government of Sierra Leone, that there is certain minimum standard that we want you to upgrade, because if we have upgrade on our infrastructure, which means that we have to upgrade on our service delivery, which Summa has agreed to it. And as a regulator, that's also my responsibility, meaning the authority's responsibility, to ensure that Summa provides their services to international standards. And I want to assure the general public that Summa is not the only first country they are operating an airport. They are doing it in Niger. And based on my assessments and feedback I got from my colleagues from Niger, they are one of the best you can get in terms of airport operations. And based on what I've seen, my level of interactions with them over the last 1 year, their standards are very high, and I'll definitely assure you of that. And you expect a different level of service provision. The only challenge we have at this old one, you might not see too much of a difference because there are a lot of inherent challenges that even led to the government to decide to construct a new facilities at the existing airport.
So for the next 25 years, the airport will be operated by the Summa Group Limited.
Yes.
Now, are there specifics, I mean, with regards to the guarantee of customers when it comes to sense of cost and customer satisfaction, security, especially with the security fee of $25?
Okay, a lot of things are jumbled. Let me just break down. Okay, for customer satisfaction, I said the government is signing, there is a service level agreement agreed between Summa and the government. And also there's a regulatory body, which is the Civil Aviation Authority, whose responsibility is also to make sure that Summa group of companies provide their service by excellence, by international standards, by our own national standards, by our own service level agreement that we have agreed between them and the state. Apart from that, they are also an international brand. They are also very conscious about maintaining their own standards because, like I said, they are an international brand. They want that image to be reflected in Sierra Leone. And that's even some of the problems they are having with some of our local service providers because they are afraid that they don't want to delegate some of these functions to some of our local service providers, and then that will lead to them to drop in standards. So that's the major challenge, one of the major challenges they have with our local operators. With regards to security, the $25 is an immigration-related security fee. It actually does not belong to Summa. That was a charge that was passed by the Ministry of Internal Affairs then in 2012. You and I know very well, I've given you the background about this. And ideally, what the government has proposed, you had wanted it to be in the cost of the ticket so that the traveling public would not be aware about it or even pay indirectly. But the industry is opposed to it, and there has been some negotiations back and front with the government. So that is why you see there's a physical collection of that at the airport. But we are still in discussions with the industry stakeholders to see how best that can be addressed. Because we also do not want to go to that beautiful airport that Summa has put for us and you see somebody asking you to pay $25. That's actually not ideal. You know? It does not give a true reflection of the Sierra Leone I know.
Let's look at some of the critical issues, which has to do with the staff. You know, a few days ago, there were letters around signed by the general manager of the Sierra Leone Airport Authority terminating contract of some of the staff. And there was this talk about people losing their jobs. As chairman of this transition process, how many people are losing their jobs, if there are any? Or is there any assurance that people are being employed as well, again, by Summa Group?
Zero. Zero people are going to lose their jobs as far as the Summa BOT agreement is concerned. Like I said, Sierra Leoneans have appetite for negative news. You know, so everything we see, we are more or less interested in sharing the negative news. So that's actually the most important thing I just want to underscore. What happened on Friday was that there's a transfer protocol signed between the two managers, Summa and that of the SLA. You are taking over my staffs and employ them. So you cannot be employed by AYV and then expected to be given a contract by SLBC. So the first thing that they have to do is AYV will first have to terminate your agreement or your contract with them. before SLBC can issue a contract. So that was just what happened. The general manager first had to terminate the services of all of the staffs who used to be with the airport authority before they can sign contracts with Summa. So he issued out these termination letters, and just one or few some unscrupulous individuals just went and signed it on social media, and we even found out that one of these staffs are one of those people that have not been reporting for work. He has been out, he said, on study leave or whatsoever. So when he only came in that day and was given the letter, he felt he was sacked. Then he just sent the letter. And even before the Friday, we have held a series of the minister and I, and even all the ministry officials, we are in Lungi for the whole of the week, having a series of stakeholders engagements, including the general staff, explaining everything about them that has to do with the process of this transfer. So they are well informed that this is what's going to happen before you are even entitled to your end of service benefit. SLA has to terminate your service, and before you have to even be, Summa could be able to give you a contract that you sign, SLA has to terminate your service with them, and then from there, before all of these things will fall in. So just when that letter was issued to them, and like I said, some of our compatriots, just sent it to social media, and that went overboard,
So some of the staff I've spoken to, some are raising concerns about who takes the responsibility to pay their end-of-year service. Yes. Who is paying that? Is it Summa or the government?
No, it's the government that is paying. But what we have done is that we have a kind of framework with Summa, because we know the government. Initially, we are contemplating of putting it on the government budget, but we know the concerns with doing that and how that will delay and the uncertainty associated with that. So the government has asked the Summa to say, okay, look, we want you to come in as a stopgap, even this alone, give us this money after we have done verifying how much we have to pay to this staff, so that we pay them during the course of this 1 year whilst they are with you, and even those that are staying. So by the time before the end of the 1 year, we'll have paid everybody that's all the redundant by the old SLA, and all of them will have got their end of service benefits. So that's the process we are on. Again, this was all explained to the staff on Thursday by the minister himself and my very self. They asked questions, and clarifications was made to them. So even as of yesterday, they had a meeting with the new general manager. Currently, they have employed about 282 staffs who have signed contracts. The process is still ongoing because they have to do verification and all the rest of things. So in that staff meeting, they still asked about this end of service benefit. And they gave them the same response, that the government is paying, but the funds are already made available. It's only that
is there a timeline? They are worried. Some of them are concerned.
Of course, because but again, you know very well that this involves a huge sum of money. At Airport Authority, is if I'm not lying, it's the second largest state agency in the country apart from Port Authority. You understand that? They had more than 500 staffs. So it involves a lot of verification. And the process has to be transparent and self-accountable, so that tomorrow, you are talking of over 400 and 500 and something Sierra Leoneans. You don't want to come, and you're talking of billions of Leones. We don't want to live tomorrow as a member of the transition
Before
team.
Marina comes in quickly, one of the concerns also has been about, having Summa is an international group, like you mentioned, having their own people perhaps coming to take certain jobs at the airport, doing their work, because they're private sector as well. They want to provide quality service. Is there any assurance that we'll have our own professionals as well doing the work?
It's just superfluous, because first of all, number one, it's more expensive for Summa to bring in 400 and 500 staffs in Sierra Leone to look after them from Turkey, rather than just use the Sierra Leoneans that you have in Sierra Leone. So it does not make economic sense to Summa. Certainly they will bring in key staffs to position them in certain strategic positions. But that does not mean that they are going to bring in 400 and something Turkish citizens from Istanbul or Ankara to come and serve at the airport. Even as part of the transition, there is joint operational cooperations between the old airport authority and the new one. Because at the end of the day, these people who have been running this airport have the local knowledge. And you are a foreigner, even if you have an international expertise in airport operations, but it's a different ball game. The things that you address here are far different from what happened in Istanbul or Ankara International Airport. For here, somebody will pass through issues of grass at the airport. At Ankara or Istanbul, there are no grasses that you have to contain. There is fire outbreak around the perimeter. That will not happen in Istanbul. So you need the local expertise to help you in this transition. So that's actually one of the responsibilities of this transition team, to make sure that we are always constantly in touch and make sure that all the key stakeholders are working together and are collaborating to make sure that we don't have any disruption in the industry.
Okay. With the construction of the new terminal, what will be its contribution to the economy and also in terms of the tourism sector?
Okay, yeah, I see. Even you in the media, you are still struggling with coming to terms that the state has built a new airport. So you are trying to narrow down the argument to construction of the new...
The state hasn't made it clear to us yet that it's a new airport. Perhaps if you confirm that for us now.
That's what I'm trying to drive
exactly.
at. You want to confine it to the construction of a new terminal building. No, it's not the construction of a new terminal building. It's just a simple case of, I come on analogy. You are in this house, right? This is the AYV house. Is that also? So let's say Mr. Navo decides to build another house outside there, well modernized with all the necessary, well-equipped, sophisticated, with modern equipment for your productions and all the rest of things. And he calls the media to go and commission it. You will say that that's the old AYV house? Certainly not. That's the same thing that has happened to our airport. The only unfortunate thing, I don't want to call it unfortunate, that we did not move the airport to another location. So that's why we are having this conversation. But it's like the airport where I'm sitting, this is where the current airport infrastructure was. And now we have decided to relocate it on where you are sitting, replicating everything that was here old, everything new. For example, the terminal building on this side has been replicated on that side. The air traffic control services was on this side. We have relocated it on that side. All I'm talking is brand new one. The fire services was on this side. We have relocated on that side, a brand new one. In fact, we are even planning to take a media for a conductor tour for this facility so that you can broadcast them live on radio and television so that the public will see for themselves. So that this cheap talk of whether it is...
No, but I think the media has been going on with what the agreements that Parliament ratified said. It was the construction of a new terminal. Even the President, when he went to launch it, he mentioned a new terminal. If it's changing, perhaps I want you to confirm today on AYV, are we having, is the new building a new airport?
No, we are having a new airport. Let me give you now the critical infrastructures that are built by Summa. One, a new terminal building, well modernized with modernized infrastructure, everything inside built. Second, we have built a modernized air traffic control tower. Third, they have built a modernized fire and parking bay. Fourth, they have built a new cargo shell for cargo operations. The Commissioner General for NRA was there and with his team about 2 weeks ago. And if you go to their webpage, you will see the press release they issued that the facility meets everything that international customs demands. Well modernized. You cannot compare it to the existing one that we even have. They have built a new presidential lounge for us, a facility for us also again. They've built new taxiway, new apron, and new parking slot. They have rehabilitated the runway. So among all of these infrastructures that we used to have, they have given us brand new ones. So how do you call that?
No, how do you call it?
Exactly.
You confirm
airport. It's a brand new airport.
That's it. You're the professional.
Of course.
Yes. So
from a regulatory point of view, as far as where the CA is concerned, as far as the industry is concerned, that airport is a brand new airport.
Okay. Let's take some messages, right?
Exactly.
Or you have another question?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Jungle again is asking, I'm confused. Is this a new built airport or a renovated airport passenger reception? And Bobo Labo is saying the same compound, the same runway.
Billy is asking, are we going to be expecting more flights to Sierra Leone with reasonable prices? Are we going to be a national hub as well, an international hub as well? Same with our sisters countries in Guinea, Ghana, Gambia, etc. Because the flight ticket to Sierra Leone is too expensive.
And Hussam Conte says currently the Summa Group is training the old staff of the Lungi International Airport that will have to work at the brand new Freetown International Airport to match with international standards of operation at the airport. When will it start operation? Soon.
Us friend is saying, what is the present situation of liabilities payment for the redundancy benefits process and the fire sector?
I think those are all the
Yes, I'll take one more. This one is from Victor Akomengot. Victor has been writing a lot about the new airport as confirmed by the head of the Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority today. It says, why pay $25 security fee to immigration officers? What is the nature of service provided apart from processing entry and collecting visa fee from non-nationals? Also, what happens to existing agreements with Westminster Securities and Secure Reports? Those are the questions we've got and some of the comments as well.
Let me go back to the first one that has to do with the hubbing. Because I saw a gentleman try to add his voice to the public discourse as to whether the state will be able to maximize the potentials of the airport. So he tried to cite the reason that we do not have a national carrier or our own airline, so we cannot start hubbing. Again, that is misguided. And that is something I found very interesting about Sierra Leoneans. We attempt to put our participate in certain discourses when we have limited knowledge. Accra is a hub. Kotoka. Ghana does not have a national carrier, but they have a hub. You understand that? Even the local airlines that are registered are doing domestic. They have a hub there. So hubbing does not necessarily, having a carrier base operating in Sierra Leone does not necessarily guarantee hubbing. It's about creating the enabling environment, and one of those is what we have just done. We have created the necessary infrastructure, which any airline, international airline, can decide to say, okay, look, I want to come and base my flight in Sierra Leone. I'll be flying here to South America, because flying to South America from Freetown is about 8 hours. So why do I have to go through Europe before I can go to South America? So it does not actually count. This investment is strategic. It has the potential to unlock the economic drive of the state. And aviation is a catalytic industry. We know very well that we have been talking about how do we promote tourism. And one of the aim of strategy for promoting tourism is what we have done with this Summa project. And that is exactly why President Baio is trying to do, to reposition the country, make it more competitive internationally. So if you have any reason to come to Sierra Leone, the airport at least we serve as the reason. The airport is the gateway to the country. So that is the first place that we have to give our international friends or colleagues the kind of impression Sierra Leoneans are. So that is one of the strategic reasons why the airport was developed the way it has been. So then on the issue of the agreement, the text I said about WAS and Secure Report. Secure Report in the first place is now affected by the Summa contract. That's the first thing. Then second, their contract actually has to deal with immigration security. Their contract is very specific. They collect data that has to deal with immigration, that is meant for national security purposes and aviation security related issues. So that's what Secure Report does. So that is very clear about it. Westminster, as far as the state is concerned, Westminster is also not affected. They have a contract with the states, even though by the Summa contract they are supposed to take over, but the states have encouraged all the concessionaires. What the state has done actually is that before now we have multiple players at our airport, which was even unhealthy from a regulatory purposes. So the state have decided with the Summa agreements to create a composite structure wherein you have one service provider. So that service provider can decide now to say, okay, let me outsource to Mr. X, Mr. Y, but I am going to hold Mr. X accountable. So that's what we are trying to do. So we have encouraged SHP, we have encouraged Westminster to just form that kind of commercial relationship with Summa. If they are able to forge it, fair enough. Summa has Westminster are able to have that kind of relationship with Summa. So they are moving. We don't have any problem.
So finally, as chairman of the transition committee, is there a timeline as to when perhaps we'll move to the new airports from?
Yes, there is. We are working towards before Easter, actually. That's why I will tell you for free. Before Easter, the new airport will be ready, and the public will start using it.
Do you want to give reassurance to the Sierra Leone Airport Authority staff who are transitioning?
Yeah, of course. They know very well that I'm constantly with them. Even on Monday again, I'm going back to the airport. I'm monitoring the process, and the minister is also monitoring the process. And so is all the other committee members, even the general manager for the airport authority. We are all part of this transition team, and we are monitoring this process because in the industry, we do not want to encourage disruption. We know how that will undermine safety. And I think even President Baio himself is very much pertinent to this thing. He's the chairman of this transition team. Everything that we do, we go and report to him directly. He's overseeing our work. Why is he doing that? It's because he's more or less interested in what the staff of the airport authority and the Lunge community in particular. Okay. So I want to assure the listeners and even the staff of the airport authority that the government is with them and we do everything possible to ensure that none of them lose their job or their end of service benefits are paid on time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moses Tiffa Baio, and is the head of the Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority. Thanks for your time. We'll definitely do follow up and hopefully an opportunity to go see the new airport.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.